so that they're getting, little school districts might take big deliveries, like at their central, centrally located campus or something
So the
like
two
that.
twenty-one is worst case scenario.
So,
Right.
the 221 that you have on here for all of
Is
it.
worst case scenario.
That's the $1.96 plus the quarter.
Okay, but on here it says for everything, 221 for everything.
That's everything except supply and equipment over
Right.
$100,
Right.
yes.
We'll go to what percentage?
But if you have one system that's at $4,000
That includes
per
the-
delivery, they would drop to
The what?
That
$1.63.
includes the admin and management fee.
Right, that
Okay.
one does,
Yes.
yep.
That's a great question, because that is a little confusing based on the
Yeah.
two responses
Yep.
yet, so.
One includes it, one doesn't,
Right.
so yeah. So the new business incentive, we just walked through that, but somewhere between $80,000 and $120,000 one time, paid out one time after the first 6 months of purchases, and the first 6 months starts whenever we designate it to start, so it would probably be at the beginning of the school year.
Correct.
There's also a direct parent incentive. This is a further committed incentive. So this incentive says that we have to actually get together, determine what 100% of your purchases could be if you bought everything feasible from US Foods. And then we actually sign an affidavit and agree to that number. And we track that every 6 months. You have to buy 85% plus of your needs through the program. And if you do that, there's an extra 1% rebate that comes back, and it comes back twice a year, every 6 months. You have to have a contract compliance utilization of 60%. In other words, the CMAs that you buy have to be at least 60% of your spend, which is usually a pretty easy number to hit. So the power of CMAs, first of all, Dave talked about the flagging in the system. So with Premier, all the CMAs are flagged. They're flagged with either a CMA indicator or a CMAR. Now, if it's a CMAR, it means you're already getting a reduced price, and then there's also a rebate that comes back quarterly directly from the manufacturers through Premier. Most of them don't have the R anymore. Premier has, every time we renegotiate the contract, has asked that we put more of the value, that US Foods puts more of the value of the program right into the price. So most of the value is right in the price. The feedback from members nationally has been, we don't want to wait for rebates. We'd rather have it at, price at the pump, so to speak.
Yeah.
But at least you know if something's coming back later. So from US Foods perspective, we have a non-member and we pay $47.04 for a product, and we apply the $1.96, our invoice price would be $49. With Premier, and they only use 8% as a deviation, and we can show you your average every quarter, but the average we're seeing right now is about 16% off invoice as a deviated cost. But then, of course, you take that down from the lower cost point, and then we invoice you at $45.24. So you can see the 8% example in this, drives a savings of from $49 to $45.24, and that would be true across probably 80% plus of your spend. $3.76 a case in that case. I'm not going to walk through this whole slide, but this is just a picture of how US Foods and Premier interact across every facet of our business. Like I said, they're our biggest customer, so we work with them on everything from education to food quality and food safety, technology, as we talked about. You're going to see in a little bit, is a real strength of ours. We think that's our biggest advantage versus any of our competitors, is our technology and our innovative food products. And again, membership is free. The distribution program for K through 12, as Dave, a lot of this we already talked about, but a firm fee per case at the most $1.96 plus the quarter. A 99% fill rate commitment to support the program, and we track that every week, and Premier audits us on that to make sure we're hitting that. Minimum stocking of 3 cases per week, which is not very much. All items delivered through US Foods are on contract. So whether it's a CMA with a deviated price, or whether it's just a product that's not on a CMA, you still get the same markup per case on 100% of what you buy. So again, the most comprehensive contract in the industry. Talked about getting it right to the price at the pump, member-driven contracts, and then Washington County School System being the lead agency. So Premier also has their own line of products that they've worked with. Their chefs have worked with US Food chefs. We've introduced a line of products called US Foods Nourish. They are this is just our first approach at it, but these items are specific to Premier. We are allowed to sell them to independent restaurants, but we are not allowed to sell them to a competitive GPO. So in other words, you would not have access to these products if you were buying through another GPO, not to mention any names, Vizient or others.
And the intent is just to come up with very clean labels, very simplified ingredients, obviously healthy conscious, why they call it Nourish. And it was just kind of the first swing at the bat with the GPO, literally contracting and developing their own product line, which has been received very well, particularly in our health, healthcare accounts. The items have been really well received.
We also offer a full line of non-food supplies through US Foods, paper towels, smallwares, chemical, we talked about chemicals, can liners, paper. So there's a lot of things that Premier can bring to the table, in addition to just food. And again, they have contracts in all areas, including, we talked about lawn and garden equipment, but carpeting and utilities and all these different things that they can bring to the table. So Dave also talked about our value-added service team, and we certainly have Stephanie Yurchek. She's our basically our free consultant in the Michigan and Ohio market. She would be available to you. There's a whole portfolio of value-added services that we can bring to the table. So we can go through those with you, but there's just a lot of other things we can bring to the table.
And on that note, I mean, being a 25-year employee, that's really, I'm proud that we have that resource, because there's no other broadline competitor I've seen that's invested in a resource like that we can deploy into a customer and really help them evaluate their savings and opportunities. It's just, she's phenomenal. As Dick said, she came from a contract management background, so she gets that world. And she's very intuitive with P&L, cost, labor, all that. She's just a great resource.
And this is kind of a breakdown of the different areas that we can work in with you. So some of these are provided by Premier, the concepts, the culinary clinics, the Nourish, the regional meetings, and so forth. But a lot of assistance there. So 5 reasons that you guys should consider using U.S. Communities and Premier as your partner, along with U.S. Foods. Discounted pricing, competitive procurement process to drive efficiency, savings and solutions beyond the contract portfolio, beyond just delivering boxes to the door. And then we can customize the program to meet your needs, like we talked about earlier, helping you with the Aramark situation, helping you take some of the concepts and really tailoring those to meet your needs specifically. Between our chefs and our specialists, we can do that. And then one of the really big things is transparency. Every contract is available on PremierInc.com. You can go out and look at every contract that's been negotiated, see what the landed cost is in the U.S. Foods, and very easily do your own audit. So there's nothing hidden, and that's one of the things when you start talking about contract management, like Aramark and Sodexo and Compass and all those, there's no transparency to their programs, none. And that's it for the Premier piece. So I got you guys back up on time,
you did a
right?
great job.
We got
Any
time for
questions I think on
and-
the Premier that come to mind while Martha's kind of teeing up the live demo on the e-commerce, or?
I do that. As US Foods, why did you guys decide to bring those 2 GPOs instead of one?
They are our 2 largest customers.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, we're required to do that. We have to stay very neutral, being that they're our largest customers, and present our customers, with the best options in the industry. And we feel like these are the 2 best options we can present to you.
Yeah.
We have
So-
no emotion about which one you choose. They're both great customers of ours.
So in this example, US Foods is Switzerland. And, what happens in terms of either GPO is really, we feel both bring a tremendous amount of value. I think the Spark Consortium has to evaluate what's the best for the Spark Consortium. But, kind of those were questions maybe 24 and 25. But, both bring value, in just different ways, and that's something that, we, as Dick said, we present when we have responses like this, both options. And it's great to have both options available to, consortiums like yourself.
It's very unusual to have the 2 biggest GPOs in existence pick the same distributor to be their sole source distributor, right? So I think that speaks to, US Foods and how strong we've been over the years in the healthcare and education segments.
Yeah.
So they're
And
both
I
great
think-
choices. They're both great choices.
I think we talked about it a little bit today, but I just want to be sure that, and they both put their business out to RFP. You know, this is not a, you know, equity relationship at all. I mean, basically, they put it out to RFP and they selected US Foods as part of their RFP response, so, we're fortunate to have that, but, so whenever you're ready, let me know. But I thought, if you're not ready yet, I can kind of go through some of
No,
these questions.
I'm ready
We good?
whenever you.
Okay. So I thought what we do, if it's okay with you guys, we'll just do a quick demo on the site. I think the two things that we heard in the questions were, you'd like to see, nutritional information and how that's, searched in the engine. And then, maybe some examples, just the online ordering component, right? And if you wanna get a little more detail, we can, but we'll kind of at least focus on those two areas. Make sure we answer your questions on that.
So, this is our,
Right now,
desktop.
we have
We gotta
this,
switch that over to the,
How do I do that?